Cool. All right. Well, cheers, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get that picture. Hold on. I got a clean picture.
You want the clean?
There we go. Hey.
We finally did it.
We finally did it. We finally made it. Thank you for coming on.
It's all right.
Yeah. Thank you for finally coming here. I know we had to reschedule like
a bunch of times.
Yeah, probably. We got different stuff going on. But look at all this.
Yeah. Some of the pedals we make, these are mostly the ones we've kept. Mm-hmm. We've made probably like 15 different ones, but these are the ones we're kind of sticking to. Mm-hmm. And these are the newer ones. These are the older ones we've had. One of those, we got a couple of them. It's similar to the Distortion Plus. A little more modification, a little more gain on them. But yeah.
Cool. I like it. So how did you explain a little bit? Okay, first introduce yourself. Let's introduce yourself. Yeah.
Eduardo, ECR Electronics owner, creator, I guess. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
How did you get into like doing pedals or electronical repair? You started with electronics.
Yeah, repair, I started with electronics, and the first thing I started with, I had a Distortion Plus. No. A DS1 Boss pedal, and I would mess around with it. And then one day I decided to connect the power supply, not knowing there were certain power supplies you use with it. And I connected it, and as soon as I plugged in my guitar, smoke came out and it stopped working. So I decided to open it up, and there was something burned. And I remember I had like a 99-cent soldering iron. I'm like, okay, you heat this up and it comes off, and I'm like, okay, this part looks like it's burned, so this is what burned. And I opened up an old boombox I had in the garage, and I'm like, okay, this part looks like this one, and I put it in and it turned on. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what I just did, but it's working now.
It's an experiment.
Yeah. And yeah, I just had it like that. And then when I went into college, I went into computer hardware, and the first professor I had, he was like, okay, I know this is computer hardware, but I teach electronics. He's like, they merged the classes, so he's like, I'm gonna teach you guys electronics, no computer stuff. He was one of those old school radio guys, vacuum tube stuff all over the place. And yeah, I just kind of picked it up from there, and we've always jammed. I always played guitar and stuff, and I just started fixing. Okay, it's not working anymore, so I would open it up. I'm like, okay, let me see what's this, and little by little I started picking it up. Okay, this is how you read the schematic. This is this and this. And then what is it, like the second year, I kind of started making pedals.
Second year in the class?
Yeah, I started kind of making pedals offline and stuff, doing the etching and stuff. And they worked and stuff. But I still didn't know why it was working. I was just copying part by part. And
using their schematics and stuff, right?
And I got a job at a repair shop doing audio equipment. And that's where I kind of developed more, because I was taking what I learned at school and applying it to what I was repairing it. And I'm like, okay, so this works like this. And they sold like a lot of vintage audio equipment.
What was the name of the
it was shop? Don Ramon Electronics. Closed down. And then I started looking at the pedals. They would take vintage Boss pedals and stuff, the CE1, the chorus, the reverbs, the Fender reverb pedal. Yeah, no, like the reverb unit, the whole surf unit one.
Yeah.
That was one of the first ones I kind of worked on, and I'm like, oh, this is dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of picked it up from there, and surely by slowly I started making my own, modifying circuits and stuff. And yeah, and just with practice, I guess it was just practicing over and over. And then friends would take their equipment. I'm like, it doesn't work. Okay, I think I kind of have an idea what it's wrong. And just fixing the equipment for friends and my stuff, I would buy broken stuff and fix it up, and okay, it works now.
Yeah.
And I have my collection, and collecting pedals, broken down, $5, it doesn't work. Okay, I'll take it. I know what's wrong with it. Fix it up for another $5, and had a working pedal now.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's really awesome. That's really similar to what my friend Rob does with the synthesizers.
Yeah.
Actually, he's got a shop right around the corner, Rose and Sound.
Is it the one you're working on?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was working with them
Yeah.
for a little bit, and it kind of went our different ways. But I'm still
Yeah.
great friends with them, and he does a lot of great stuff. That's actually how he got started, I think, doing his stuff. He started when he was younger and doing electronic repairs and on synthesizers. Same thing. Very cool. How many? So you said there was about 15 different pedals that you guys.
There
made?
was in the beginning. Yeah, there was pedals I would make, and some of them. There's people that have them.
Mm-hmm.
Friends and stuff, and I've sold some. And the other day, when was it? I was on Reverb, and I saw one of the original Big Muffs I made from like 3 years ago, and the guy had opened it. He was like, "Oh, ECR Electronics. I don't know who could be famous in the future or something," and it was stamped number 001, and the date was like 2015 and stuff. I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, someone has it. And it was a music store in Michigan that was selling it.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, okay, I remember this. And yeah, I don't make them anymore, but he has one of them. And I know I've only did like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I've seen people at the swap meets we go to. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I had one of your Big Muffs, the one that had the symbols. I'm like, oh, okay, I remember selling it a long time ago.
That's really cool. That's interesting how, over the course of time, you start with certain types of pedals, and then you start working on different ones. You start experimenting with different types of schematics or whatever, right? What kind of pedals have you been making more so lately? I know you mentioned some of these are a little bit newer.
I've been experimenting more. Basically, what friends and people have asked me, modulation stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They want more reverbs, phasers, and
Chorus.
delays. So that's where I'm like, okay, now I have to start doing. And at first, it was mostly distortions and fuzzes, simple stuff, boosters, tremolos, and now I started getting more complicated stuff, which is like the Dreamland. It's a chorus / delay, and that's more if you want spacey sounds and stuff. And then we have the delay, simple repeater, and then this one, the triple thread. That one's. There's only 2. That one friend has, the one from Sounds Like Disco, Sergio. And then the one we have, which is this one, the original one. And this one's based on a FV1 chip, which is basically a lot of who uses it? The Black Star uses it for their reverbs. Some of the Fishman artists, loud boxes, amplifiers, they use that for the effects. So it's basically a programmable chip you can program.
Oh, I see.
And this one we copied or cloned the JHS, the VCR, which is basically the booster, chorus, and reverb. So that's what this one is. And this is a little more complicated.
So it's booster, chorus, and reverb. And then what are the switches?
Basically, you turn on which one you want. If you want the reverb and the chorus, you switch these on.
I see.
And then you switch it on. Or if you just want the booster, you could just switch the booster on.
Right.
Depending on how you want to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
I got it. Cool. Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
I like that. Yeah, I like how they're all very bright and colorful too. That's really cool. And then this one's a little bit darker. What is it? This is the distortion, right?
That one's like I said, the distortion plus. Basically the MXR, the yellow box ones. Just modified with more gain from it. Basically a clone, like a modified clone. And then this one's a clone of the rat pedal. Different clipping diodes, a little more gain added, a little tone control.
Okay.
And then this one's a fuzz, but with the bias adjustment, so you get that Velcro sounding sounds.
Oh, okay.
So you could clean it up around right there, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
It starts working like a normal fuzz, but then as soon as you start turning it down, that's where you get those kind of dying battery sounds from it, and it starts getting crazy. Yeah.
Cool. And then, I see you got this sign back there too. What is it? This
one's a true bypass looper.
Okay.
I do little, like routing stuff, foot switches and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically, you can route signals. If you have a pedal that's buffered, but you don't want that buffered in your signal chain, you would hook it up right here and then use this as
to turn it on
and off.
Right.
And
But you could have a number of pedals in that chain, right? So you can have like a delay, a reverb, distortion. If there's a particular song where you're like, instead of having to hit all 3 pedals at the same time,
you hook
just
it
hit
up
that. Okay.
and you hit that.
Right.
And then recently I also did a 5-channel one, which is a little bigger one.
Yeah.
And that's the new one we're trying to come out with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. That seems to be a bigger and bigger thing lately is these looper pedals. That I've noticed more and more people using them. And because well, the reason why I might not use too much of it, I would probably use a smaller one like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger ones, and then when you start using too many pedals, that all the wire and everything makes the pedal board so heavy because there's so much wire. But also it makes the options, like if that's what you need to do what you got to do for your songs, like it totally makes sense because you can't hit 3 pedals at the same time,
jumping around and hitting. But the thing is, this one's like the analog one.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that I kind of like more are the digital ones, the ones you could actually program your loops to certain ones.
Oh right, so you can set like MIDI triggers and stuff like that.
That one's a little more better, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like them. You know, it simplifies your pedal board. You don't have to be looking around and switching on and off everything.
Yeah.
And you just hook it up and you program them to your songs, and you already have, okay, at a certain point I'm going to switch on this one and this one, and that's it. Mm-hmm. You're not jumping around and stuff.
Yeah, my boss actually uses them a lot too. In L1011, they because he has so many different things that he does with live looping. Yeah. Like live audio looping, as well as using the looper pedals to trigger certain things at the same time, because he needs to record this and he's recording some of the things that the drummer's doing, and on the digital kit is going to his pedal loop and stuff. Their setup is insane. It's absolutely just crazy.
Well, no, it's basically everybody knows their setup. If you get somebody's pedal board, it's like, what the hell's going on here? And I guess the only person who sets it up really knows what's going on, and okay, this is how this is routed, and but
there's a method to the madness. Yes. That's kind of like my whole situation here. There's madness here, but there's method to it. Very cool. I like the board too. Did you make the board?
We didn't make these. There's a guy, SoCal Pedal Boards, and I think they're right here in California too. And what is it, like Burbank area, I think? Yeah, they're somewhere up here.
Very cool.
And he sent us one of these, and we have another, and they're pretty good. We like them, well built and stuff. Wood.
Yeah, this looks like old, like either aged or vintage wood, or they stained it and stuff. It reminds me of I actually just met this guy yesterday. He was at the studio. Black. He does. His name is Gio. He does Black Volt amps. And they're all like custom smaller amps. Yeah. And they're really cool. They're all these old like redone wood, and he uses recycled wood from like old barns and stuff. And he uses the fabric that they have for like the front of the amps. He uses like old like Native American rugs and stuff. It's really really interesting. It's very cool. What artists have participated with you guys? Like have purchased pedals from you guys, or
the ones that have used them, Descarados, a couple of friends from high school. He uses them. We have Sounds Like Disco, another friends from high school. They use them too on their setup.
That's the ones that have that pedal that you were saying, right?
He has this one, and they're actually using it in their new recording. He told me they used it, and his other guitarist saw it. And he was telling me that he wanted that one. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, last week he hit me up that he wanted to order one. It was like, he was trying to buy it off of me because we used it in the recording and he liked it. And I'm like, I'm like, well, they're coming up. I'm like, we have a couple of these going out.
Cool. Very cool. What I like the one that isn't up here that I use is the Dumbloid. The Dumbloid. I love that thing. Whenever I'm doing a lead on my guitar, it's like I just use that to cut through everything.
That one once again, sounds like Disco Sergio.
Mm-hmm.
He requested that one. He's like, hey, you ever heard of the Dumbloid pedal?
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I looked up the pedal.
Yeah.
And I saw the schematic and stuff, and I think I could somewhat get it close to what it's supposed to sound like.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, I'll work on it. I'll see if I could get it. And yeah, he saw it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I use it in my recordings and stuff. He's like, it's pretty aggressive. I'm like, yeah. And people like it. I'm like, you have one? And I think that's the main one we sold. Like, we sold probably like 10, 15 of those.
I love that one.
And it's a great pedal.
It's great. It cuts through everything. I like it. I prefer it over. I mean, I have another like game.
The Marna.
Yeah, the Marna.
That one.
I like that. I like that one. That one I keep on pretty much all the time.
Yeah, that one's supposed to be like the orange kind of overdrive.
Yeah,
that's what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah, that's what. That's exactly what it sounds like. And I keep the overdrive pretty low. I'm almost using it as like
a booster.
A booster, kind of. But I have that on all the time. I have a weird setup, and people, I'm sure most guitarists with tones, like they would just like hate my setup. I have my wah on all the time.
Okay.
And I just have the Monarch boosting the lows before it gets to there, and then if I use anything, I'll like for the lead, I'll just use the
Dumbloid.
Yeah, the Dumbloid to cut through everything. Yeah, but the combination of those things together, the wah on and the Monarch, is just the very specific tone. I really like it. I don't know why, and it could just be in combination with this amp too, the Excelsior, which is like a Fender.
It's a Fender. Yeah. They took out a couple of like the pawn shop series. I think that's what they call them. Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. Right, kind of like the amps older you would find in a pawn shop, older looking amps. Right, kind of. Yeah, I've seen them.
It's a little gimmicky, but I love the tone of it. It sounds great,
and it's a simple just like volume tone control, right?
Yeah. It's and I like it. It just it's just volume control, but it's weird. It's got strange input. It's got a mic input. Well, what does it say? Hang on. I think it says line.
I think accordion, right?
Accordion.
Accordion.
It says accordion. Yeah. Accordion. Yeah.
Accordion, mic, and guitar.
Guitar, mic, and accordion. And I'm not sure if the circuits are different for where the inputs is. Like, I don't know why they would have a specific input stating that.
Once again, going back to the whole pawn shop thing. Yeah. And some of the older amps, who is it? Ampeg. Mm-hmm. I know they use the accordion input and guitar input. And basically, I think it's just different gain. Like, you know how they have, like, the Fenders have the 0 dB and then the, like, negative 12, I think, dBs. Mm-hmm. And it's just the lower volume for, you know, active pickups. And right. I think that's all the only difference in them.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's got a built-in tremolo, too, which is pretty cool. I use sometimes. And it's not too intricate. It's just a tremolo with the speed. Yeah. Basically.
It's a 15-inch or 12-inch speaker?
I think it's 15.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's the whole size of the
cabinet.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 15.
Yeah. No, I've played with one and I liked it. It was interesting to look at. That's what it was. It was like, okay, I've never seen even the chassis. It's set up in a weird kind of industrial looking type. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty good. I like them. I like Fender amps no matter what.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Fender amps.
Favorite Fender amp.
Speak of amps, people come to you for repairs and stuff too, right? Like amp repairs?
I do amp repairs. Mostly friends. Mm-hmm. And amp repairs. If I work in GPS electronics and we do amp repair, and basically I just do the vacuum tube stuff. I do the solid state stuff too, but mostly my main focus is the vacuum tube stuff. Mm-hmm. And I get to work on all those amps and basically all the Fenders. I kind of know the circuits and okay, what goes wrong and everything, and just trying them out in Marshalls, Voxes, even weird amps, Rickenbackers from the 1930s and stuff. Yeah. And it's crazy. You hear different sounds and they're just amazing amps.
They're great. Yeah, they're awesome. In fact, you've fixed a couple of amps for us at the studio, and they hold true, man. I like your work because you know what? I've had a bunch of them repaired before. Yeah, and they don't hold up. I don't know what they're doing or what they're probably cutting corners in one way or another, or maybe just not doing a full look over of the whole amp.
Well, some of the ones I fixed for you,
Mm-hmm.
they were modified.
Right.
And I don't know what the heck they were doing, but some of them had circuits that were like glued onto the chassis and a couple of wires. I'm like, there's no point to. Some people, I don't know.
One of our original amp tech guys, I forget his name because I didn't personally know him, but he was fixing amps before I worked there.
Yeah.
And I know that he was modifying a lot of the amps
circuits.
a lot of the circuits of the amps. And I don't know if it's because he didn't know how to fix it properly or if he thought that it would prevent other problems in the future. But I know he made a lot of changes and a lot of strange changes to his amps. Yeah.
No, there's some modifications you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't do mods. I just stick to whatever the company said.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the sound is supposed to be.
Right.
And basically mods, I think they were good back in the day because there was a limitation to what you could get.
Right, the possibilities.
Yeah, but now you could go anywhere and get digital amps or modeling amps, and you could get a specific tone from one amp. So I don't think modifying a Fender to sound like a Marshall, you could go to a Guitar Center and get a cheaper one.
Yeah.
Or rent one, and that's it. I'm like, you don't need to hack up the amp, basically, because I've seen people drill holes on the chassis and
do all sorts of
they
crazy
trash
things.
them.
Yeah.
And it's amps that are, we had one, what is it, 1984 2203 Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like the guy got it out of the garbage. There was holes drilled. There was all these kinds of switches that they weren't supposed to be there. Mods that didn't make any point to having. And we told the guy, you want it back to stock because the way it is, it's creating more noise than what it should create.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to just remove it and start it fresh. And then, got it back to where it was, and it was quieter, and it was sounding how it should be.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you got to start from scratch.
But there's people that, no, see, if we replace this and this and this, it'll make... And they start destroying the amp. There's mods, you replace the components and upgrade them to better.
Mm-hmm.
That's
that
one way to
sense.
go. Yeah, it'll last longer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start drilling stuff into the chassis, it's like, I would kind of stay away from that.
Yeah, I don't know about
unless there's a really good reason to do it. But
yeah,
I personally hate doing mods.
What about pedal mods? Same thing? You feel the same way about it? Because I know some people, specifically the pedal that I've seen modded the most, you probably know, is the DL4.
The
delay, the green delay, the line 6 DL4.
The mod there that I've seen people switch is like the foot switches.
The foot switches
I know the
break.
foot switches they use, they're pretty flimsy and they're not actual, stomp switches.
Yep.
The top is supposed to replicate that, and on the bottom it's using a little tack switch. So I'm like, okay, those I would recommend replacing them with an actual switch. It'll last longer. But yeah, I'm saying if you want to get spacey and start doing all kinds of stuff, I'm like, sure, why not? And it's like a $200 pedal.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's good. I don't think it's gonna go up in value. But if you do a Marshall from the 1960s, the amp's only gonna go up in value. But as soon as you start drilling,
right,
the value starts going down, and that's where it's like,
right. It's like an old car, like a '57 Chevy. It's like you do a bunch of weird mods to it, like you put a weird spoiler on it or something.
And
people
then,
are gonna be like,
And then you want a certain price because it's modded to your taste,
right?
But
it's more valuable to you.
It's more valuable to you, and when you try to sell it, people are like, no, it's useless now, and I'll give you so much. And you never get your money back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I understand.
It's a taste.
Yeah, it's like, well, some people modify their guitars and do weird things to them. Not even just pickup wise, but sometimes it's just like they put weird designs and they get a weird paint job on it, and it's like nobody's gonna want to buy that after. That's fine. That's great for you.
Yeah, it's great
but
for
nobody's
them
gonna want
if
to
you're
buy
gonna
that
use
after.
it. But you don't want to sell it and get your money back from it. That's where it gets kind of iffy on it.
What are some other brands that you repair for, like other than Fender and like Marshall and stuff?
Well, at the shop I work for, we're certified. All the major Marshall, Fender, Voxes, all the major brands.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the other shop I was at, Don Ramon, we did speaker repair. And there I was certified by JBL. So I kind of am certified by JBL. And also I got more into the pro equipment, the pro audio equipment. So the loudspeakers and all that. I'm kind of into that, collecting the hi-fi equipment too. That's what I'm like, okay, I kind of know more. And that's the other thing I do, collect hi-fi stuff. You know, people sell that my grandfather had it in his garage and we're throwing it out because it's old or something. And sometimes it's the Marantz that they're throwing away, or Macintoshes we've seen that people throw away. And we're like, are you crazy? You know how much this is worth? And those units, mostly Macintoshes, we had a guy that would, I guess he worked at a recycling center, and they would clean out studios and, you know, toss out or scrape everything for metal.
Yeah.
And one time he showed up with, I think it was 16 Mackie mixers, 32 channels.
Whoa.
And I think it was at like might have been like not a rehearsal, like a school studio where you learn engineering, because they were all marked with the same labels. They all had everything.
That makes sense, yeah.
And I guess they closed down and they were throwing them out.
Wow.
And the guy called us. He's like, hey, they're throwing out some things. Are you guys interested? And the boss said yes. And he brought them back and they were all, he's like, yeah, they were throwing these out, and how much you guys give me? And I think they got like 800 for the whole set.
Wow.
And they were all working. There was one or two that had like a damaged fader. That was it.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then a month later, the guy called us. He's like, yeah, they're throwing out. He's like, I don't know. He sent us a picture and it said Macintosh. But they were these old, weird looking ones that we've never seen. And we're like, yeah, if it says Macintosh, bring all the ones that say that.
Yeah.
And he brought about, I would say, 6 of them.
Yeah.
And they were Macintoshes that they were throwing out.
And they're rare, or what?
They were, I think, like the early models from the 1950s. Because they weren't the black chrome ones they have. They were all kind of industrial looking. But they had the Macintosh label. And we got 5 of them working, and one of them was completely trashed. The chassis was bent and everything.
Wow.
So we just used it for parts. But it was stuff people were throwing out, and we're like,
they don't realize how much it's
they
worth.
didn't realize. Yeah. And we fixed them up and sold them. They were each like $1,500.
Wow. And
I was like, God, people are throwing these things away.
Yeah. Well, one person's trash is another person's treasure, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Tascam mixer that I have, 24-channel mixer,
yeah.
Somebody called me at the studio, and it was like a friend of a friend, and he was like, hey, I heard you might be looking for a mixer. Somebody was literally throwing it in a dumpster, and I tested it. Everything works. Every channel, every input, everything, the EQ wise, like
fine.
Yeah, and they were just gonna throw it away.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take that. Thank you.
The ones we've also seen, Leslie speakers.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with those?
Yeah.
At churches that they're throwing them out, and they're like,
they don't know.
They don't know what it is, and yeah, we used to get those a lot
because they're big.
They're big
stuff, bulky cabinet thing that takes up a lot of space, and a
lot of people don't know what it is.
Right.
Well, the connection is like an 8-pin connector, and it was designed for the organ, but you can modify it. Another mod.
Yeah. And
use it for a guitar or an actual keyboard and stuff, and you get that vintage sounding Beatles sound.
Yeah. I had an organ once that I got from, I forgot the name of the band. I got it from this guitarist, and I used it and had it built in. I wouldn't call it a Leslie, but it was the same thing. It was a rotary cabinet.
Yeah.
And it was a speaker, I think. So inside of it is a speaker facing up, and then there was like a curved piece of
like a drum.
Wood. Yeah, like a curved piece of wood, and so that the sound would only come out of one side. So if it turned, it would face that direction, and then it would just spin. So if it sounds like a rotary like a tremolo.
Speaker. Yeah.
And I was so interested with it, and you can turn it on and off. So if you really turned it on and off like at different intervals, you can really control the speed of it. It's really one speed if you leave it on.
Yeah, but if you're like
But if
switching
you're
it,
right,
when
yeah,
it's
if you're switching it
kind
on
of
and
picking a
off,
speed, it'll do different.
you're modulating the
Yeah,
speed of it
yeah.
in one way or another, and
Yeah.
that was so much fun to mess around with.
Yeah, no, they're
Very cool.
I'm telling you, when I got to work on, I didn't know what they were.
Yeah,
And then I started doing research. I'm like, oh, okay, they use this in this recording and this. I'm like, okay. And then I would hear it and I'm like, oh, that's a Leslie speaker right there. And that's another thing. Working at that shop helped me
yeah,
learning all these equipment that a lot of people don't know. Or
yeah,
the people that know, they know what they have and they tend to keep them.
yeah.
And yeah,
People that know what they're
what they
doing.
have.
Yeah, know what they have. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Very-
other people are just throwing it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's what do you say we plug some stuff in and make some sounds and test
sure.
some stuff out? What do you think?
Yeah.
All right,
We'll
cool.
hook 'em up.
Hang on, let me
Just say that and tell me about the backyard show. I think he has a lot. Trust me, this mine's
what'd you say?
Tell me about those backyard shows that you used to be in. Mine's gonna be like, oh shit, that's right. See what I'm thinking?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
See, just say, tell me about those backyard shows.
But I always I always kept the show going.
That's the point. Yeah.
No, what happened was
What had happened?
I had taken that fuse out.
Yeah, it's still on.
I had taken that fuse out from an amp because I think I was repairing something and I needed a fuse. And I'm like, I'll just take this because I'm not using the head. And I fixed the amp and it was gone and the head was just there and he was like, hey, we're doing a backline so and so. Okay. And I turned on the amp. I'm like, it's not turning on. I was like, oh, I'm like, it was that fuse I took out a long time ago. And then he was like, so what do we
Wait, that
do?
was on a Marshall?
No, it was a knife in his head.
No.
Yeah.
Even though it was a Marshall, I sold it to you.
And then I'm like, do you have a paper clip or something? He's like, no. And then it was like somebody's house and I found a coat hanger on the floor. And then I'm like, I know the amp's working and it's not going to blow the fuse. So I'm like, just stick that in there and it'll work. And it worked through the whole show. I'm like,
Do it. Trust me, Dan. This guy was like the tech of the South Central.
and if you want the boost. That's where it gets kind of
Spacey.
yeah. Now, if you want something crazier, the Dreamland. That's like a normal sounding chorus.
Yeah.
And then if you want to add more like a depth. You gotta mess around with this one. This one,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can mess with, and it'll start doing all these crazy stuff. It'll go from a clean chorus, or it'll go to insane stuff.
Yeah.
Add a little reverb to it. Delays. This one has a tone control to it, so you can go for that warm sounding delays, or more of a digital, more bright sounding delay. fusses.
Yeah.
See how it
Wow.
has that gated?
Yeah.
Starting to clean up a little more.
Yeah.
Now it's like a normal fuzz pedal.
Totally gated.
Yeah. Now it's like,
It's like Bit Crush.
yeah, now with the attack of the strings, that's where it'll come in. But if you play soft, it won't go through. See how and this is the rat one.
Rat clone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Very awesome. I love the modulation ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's cool. So wait.
Speed,
shape,
delay,
delay, mix, pitch,
Pitch,
and
and
depth.
depth.
Oh, okay. And the pitch is how much the pitch is affected by the modulation?
of the modulation.
Right. Yeah, let's try that. Right. And the shape, so now
That'll be the shape of the sine wave.
and if it's smaller, it's
It's more of a cleaner sounding.
a cleaner sound.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see.
And
And
right
it's a
there.
bigger sound
Yeah.
sine wave, I see.
And then if you turn up the mix, this is the mix of the LFO.
Right.
So that's how. See how it's more. Play with the speed.
Yeah, it sounds like a almost a little bit like a phaser.
Yeah. A more cartoony sounding chorus.
Yeah.
And then the delay gives it more like a sort of slapback reverb kind of sounding effect.
Yeah.
Or you can use it just by itself. And then you can mix in the chorus to it.
What is the delay time? It's pretty short, right?
Yeah, it's a super short.
Like a slapback.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they want a real delay, they should buy your delay pedal.
Yeah. No, but this gives it another depth to
Yeah.
the chorus.
It's another way to modulate your sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a reverb almost.
You can turn it down and just have the clean signal coming in.
Yeah, turn that one on too.
This one's more like for a solo. If you want that like chorus effect and
boost?
stuff, and you do your solo.
Ooh, that's nice.
Pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. I really like that one and that one. This one's the delay, right?
Yeah, this one's the delay. Not bad.
Sounds really nice. Yeah, that white pedal is crazy. What do you call that one?
That one's the triple thread.
The triple threat.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it's a triple threat. So let's tell people how to find your pedals.
Mostly on Reverb.
Yeah.
But we're currently working on a website, so we should have that in a couple of months.
Cool.
But mostly on Reverb.
Find your stuff on Reverb. You got an Instagram, right?
On Instagram, yes.
What is it?
ECR Electronics.
Yep.
On Instagram, and that's where we mostly do most of our business.
Awesome. I love it. And I noticed, I think on your Instagram, you can actually click on, I think there's
a link to the Reverb store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we try to keep update with the supplies we have.
Uh-huh.
But if they're not there, usually we have them in a week or two. Or
Yeah.
you can message us and we could have it custom made or even set up a different way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to shout out or say
No,
before
that's basically it. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to be getting more pedals from you. I love them. I'm infatuated by the pedals. Yeah. Cool. Thanks so much.
All right, man.
Yeah. All right. I think we nailed it. Yeah.
The letters come out.